political figures have either just been hired by mainstream media outlets or they're in current negotiations with mainstream media outlets. The recent story has to do with former Senator Claire McCaskill, who lost her re-election, and she will be working for MSNBC. In fact, this was announced on Morning Joe, and we have just a quick video interaction showing you how it all went down. Take a look.
Former Senator Claire McCaskill, who we are proud to announce has joined NBC News and MSNBC as a political analyst, and we are so excited to have you on board. Wow. You have come to the other side.
I have come to the other side. I think
I want to know.
I've always said in my offices, you know, we can be smart and have a great work ethic and do good work, but if we have fun, we'll do great work. So hopefully that's what this will be about.
Well, that's the whole point of you being here, fun, but also, quite frankly, you've got some really good sharp elbows, and sometimes they're needed with Joe. So thank you. You're going to help me out.
Well,
so
what was that?
I don't know. So I watched the full segment, and they then started talking about football. My eyes glazed over, and I moved on.
All right. So look, why was Claire McCaskill hired? A number of reasons. Number one, she put out a shingle over the last couple of weeks when she went and gratuitously attacked Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So that was her saying, okay, I hate progressives. And so every mainstream media outlet was like, oh, that's good. Oh, let's compete to get her. She hates Ocasio-Cortez. Oh, she also doesn't like Bernie Sanders. She used to attack him all the time. Ooh, that's great. All right, Claire McCaskill's our person. Okay, we're gonna hire her and put her on the media. When's the last time they hired a progressive and was like, okay, now, for example, Russ Feingold. So you say, hey, well, do you have big progressive politicians? Russ Feingold was an amazing politician that actually had a great legislative record, was a senator just like Claire McCaskill, but he was a progressive. Did MSNBC, who sometimes pretends to be progressive, or any other outlet be like, oh, we gotta get Russ Feingold, we gotta get his expertise?
You might disagree with me on this. This is where we might have a complete disagreement, but I don't want them to hire Russ Feingold either. I don't want them to hire any politicians, either former politicians, current. I don't think they can hire current politicians, right?
No, they could if they would. If they could, they would.
Yeah.
But no, they can't.
No, but I don't want politicians pretending, or former politicians pretending like they're journalists. Like, you want political analysts? How about hire a journalist, like a seasoned veteran journalist who's been covering politics and who actually knows the inner workings of what's going on? Why aren't journalists, real journalists, getting hired to do this analysis? Why are we hiring, why are they hiring politicians, partisans, who are gonna come on and play this ridiculous game of, oh, I'm representing the liberals, here's what I say, and then they're gonna have a conservative, I represent the conservatives, here's what I have to say, and then the moron behind the screen is like, I don't know, guys, you decide. No, how about you guys hire journalists to do what journalists are supposed to do, which is research, go out there, ask the tough questions, go out on the field and do the real analysis. Who cares what Claire McCaskill has to say?
So, Anna, I retort with, how dare you? Of course I agree with that.
I know, but I mean, some people might say, hey, there's some value.
No, there's no value, and I know what they're saying. And so let me clarify. So there's different layers as to why this is a bad hire, okay? So number one, as it's the 187th time in a row that they've hired an establishment person and not a progressive. So let's just understand what MSNBC and NBC News is, because the right wing says, oh, they're liberal media. Hilarious. Claire McCaskill is a Republican wannabe. She bragged about how much she agreed with Donald Trump during the campaign. She bashed immigrants during the campaign. She bashed every progressive she could find before, during, and after the campaign.
She called Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a shiny thing.
Yeah, and that what is it, Little Woman from New York, something along those lines. Anyway, so that's layer number one. Layer number two is, Anna's absolutely right. Why are you hiring politicians? Do you think that the American people find them credible? And so that's what's amazing about the Washington, New York bubble. They think like, ooh, the American people love Claire McCaskill. They can't wait to hear from her. Which American people? Maybe in your cocktail circuit, they're like, oh, I do declare you've snapped up Claire McCaskill, have you? Right? But which person in their country, in West Virginia, is going, oh, Claire McCaskill, she's a real expert. I'm going to tune in now.
But you know what,
okay, they're politicians. We don't like them, generally speaking. And I'm not saying every politician is a bad person, but you have to understand, if you're trying to get ratings or you're trying to, et cetera, that's not the right way to go. And the reason I bring that up is because if that's not what you're trying to do, when you tell us, yeah, of course I care about ratings and doing a program that appeals to people, et cetera, then maybe you have a different motive.
Yes, and this is what I think, and I could be wrong. I think that hiring these politicians gives them exactly what they want, and it's also it's the influencing factor behind their decisions to do these softball interviews as well. They want access. They want people that are still tied to the political world, someone who might still have some connections. I think that's part of it, and yeah, I mean, I can't think of any other reason. I mean, people aren't dying to hear what Claire McCaskill has to say.
Yeah, no, and look, I literally got the speech, but it's when I was at MSNBC. But you know it, NBC is the establishment. Why do they think Claire McCaskill is awesome? Because she's an establishment figure, and NBC wants to protect the establishment. They think the status quo is a good thing, a wonderful thing. And so they think, what, a change? Oh, from the right wing or the left wing, a change is problematic. It's problematic, it's not pragmatic, it's not practical. Almost all of their people say that. So now, look, I know what their excuse is, and if they're watching this, they're going, no, you guys are being unfair. She has great expertise. Does she? She just lost her election.
No, I mean, aren't you guys tired of living in a country where losing is winning? Because I feel like over and over again, we keep seeing people who lose and then they get rewarded, right?
Yeah, because Claire McCaskill, you know what she's gonna say, because she's said it 1,000 times before. She's gonna go on and do propaganda on television over and over again about how the Democrats can win if they go with centrist candidates. Now, proof of concept would have been Claire McCaskill just ran as a centrist candidate in Missouri. If she had won, that argument would have been compelling. She just lost. So that argument apparently is not compelling.
We need her expertise, Cenk.
We need her expertise. Yeah. Do you need her expertise on how to lose campaigns? If you said it that way and said, look, NBC has hired Claire McCaskill, and whatever she says, you should know is the exact opposite of what to do, because she obviously just lost and doesn't know what she's doing.
Right.
So, and so we're using her expertise on how to lose. Well, that would be fair, okay? But no, they're going to pretend that she's the expert on how to win elections.
Yeah, and also understand, I'm not saying don't ever have Claire McCaskill on your network. No, that's not what I'm saying. Because inviting her on for an interview is very different from hiring her, paying her to come on your airwaves and be a contributor. Again, if you're hiring people to do political analysis, you want someone to be a political analyst, I would argue that it's far more important to employ a journalist than employ someone who's a former politician. Now look, again, Claire McCaskill isn't the only one. There were 3 huge public figures who came out just this week for potential hires at major networks. So Jeff Flake is another individual. Retired Senator Jeff Flake is reportedly in talks with CBS about possibly getting hired as a contributor or something more. That's what the reports are saying.
Yeah.
So there's another one. I mean, I don't care if you're a Democrat, don't care if you're a Republican. Like Cenk said, when Cenk said, I don't want Russ Feingold hired. You want to invite him on to do an interview? Cool, I'm not against that. I don't want former politicians being hired to do what journalists are supposed to do.
Let's see if we can find a pattern here. So they're thinking of hiring Jeff Flake, another establishment figure, and then John Kasich, another establishment figure. Do you see any non-establishment figures being hired by any of these companies? But on Flake, Hollywood Reporter, but you could pick any outlet, calls him the moderate former congressman from Arizona.
He's only moderate because he kind of spoke out against Trump, but voted with him pretty much every single time.
Yeah, no, let's be fair. Over 80% of the time, Jeff Flake voted with Donald Trump, okay? Do you think that it's a moderate position to agree with Donald Trump 80% of the time or over 80% of the time? I don't think it's a moderate position, but every once in a while, then they say, well, yeah, but he might challenge him for the party nomination in 2020. So wait, then why are you giving millions of dollars in free media exposure to a guy who you think might be a political candidate for president? That gives him a huge leg up from other possible candidates, and you're giving him a salary. Are you trying to help him become president? Are you trying to have access to him in case he is president? And are any of those any part of legitimate journalism? And then at the bottom of the article, they mentioned CNN recently scooped up 2 former members, Mia Love and Luis Gutierrez.
Ooh, scooped them up.
Scooped them up because the country was like, oh my God, what does Mia Love and Gutierrez think? I mean, those former, nobody knows them. What are you scooping up? And what are they gonna do? They're gonna just keep talking about how great their positions were and then eventually enter politics again. So why are you randomly helping their political careers? Like Gutierrez, don't get me wrong, he's a good guy. I like Gutierrez, wonderful guy. But to Anna's point, does the audience like, oh, you got a former congressman, now I'm watching. Yeah. I can't wait to find out what that former congressman says. So now let's go to Kasich. It's a more egregious case. So everybody knows Kasich's thinking of running in 2020, either primarying Trump or if Trump's out, he will definitely run if Trump is out, right? So they're so brazen about it. CNBC reports that he just did a West Coast trip to raise money for a potential run for 2020. And CNN sees that and goes, oh, so we would be helping him run for president while pretending that he's a neutral expert in politics.
Let's scoop him up.
Let's scoop him up, scoop him up, right? But it gets worse. They say they talked to his former campaign manager, who will be his future campaign manager. It's John Weaver, right? Weaver says, this is a strong platform for the governor to continue to offer his positive vision to the country and engage on the vital issues facing America. That's an admission that he's using the platform that CNN is giving him to run for president. It's a good platform for me to talk about my vision. So CNN gives him, again, millions of dollars in free media. Have they ever done that for a progressive? Okay, for running for office. Were they like, oh, there's a progressive thinking of running for president? Let's give him millions of dollars in free media and a salary. So, okay, that's the bias. But even so, they shouldn't do that for progressives either. They shouldn't do it for any politician. And now, like, these guys brag about it. His campaign manager is like, nice, CNN, thank you for helping our political career. And they, by the way, Weaver himself also appears as an analyst on NBC News and MSNBC.
Oh my God.
Come on, this is ridiculous. So they're like, okay, campaign manager, you go on NBC and do propaganda for Kasich. Kasich, you go on CNN and do propaganda for yourself and get paid to do propaganda for yourself. Where's the journalism?
Well, to be fair, there might be a segment on Anderson Cooper's show where he might keep some of these people honest.
He's keeping them honest.
But in one segment.
Now, by the way, he of course won't. And I'm glad you brought that up, Anna, because the final point is, once they become their colleagues and they know them and they see them every day, then does it become more difficult for the Anderson Coopers of the world to then turn around and criticize John Kasich when he does run for president or any other office? Of course it becomes much harder. Just because you're any decent human being, if you know someone really well, it gets harder to criticize them. And that's just the most benign part of it. But you just, for CNN as an organization, you just paid the guy a lot of money to be your colleague. Are you really gonna be unbiased when he's running for office? Why are you hiring these people? It's because you're all on the same team. You're all in favor of the status quo. You all have power and you all want to maintain that power. I know that's a really uncomfortable fact for you guys to digest, but that's the reality. There is no other legitimate reason to hire these people that no one has any interest in watching and that have their only expertise is how they want to get themselves elected in their next election. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.